Hey guys, this is Bacon Chris here, and today I'm doing another top 10. And the top 10 that I'm doing today is my top 10 favorite shows that have been canceled. So I'm only focusing on cartoons and not really live action shows. So if you hate these shows, I respect your opinion on them. On my top 10 favorite shows of all time, I was focusing on the shows that were continuing to be running. Star versus the Forces of Evil just got canceled, but I still like that show anyways. And today, one of my favorite Cartoon Network shows, The Amazing World of Gumball, got canceled today. This was like Cartoon Network's longest running show, but I'm kind of sad that it got canceled. I really enjoyed that show. And also, this is my first video where I do it on my laptop. Number 10, Rugrats. This show is about a bunch of babies who go on some awesome adventures. And the main character, Tommy, is always the leader of the group. Tommy's the baby right there. And his best friend Chucky, helps solve problems and solve mysteries and go on awesome trips. And I hate this girl right there, Angelica, who's actually Tommy's cousin. She's a bully to the Rugrats. I like this. This show brings back a lot of memories. And it was like one of the most popular shows on Nickelodeon before SpongeBob SquarePants, which is my number one favorite show of all time. Yeah. Number 9 is Batman the Animated Series, and this is the best TV series that DC Comics has created. There's also Superman the Animated Series, which is also a good show. This show is about Batman and Robin, fighting crime against criminals. The animation is good. The Joker here is more popular. I even like the Christmas special when Joker says, "Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel and the Joker got away." Which was a good episode. Yeah, Superman the Animated Series is good too. And one thing I like about this show is that the Joker even did his monologue on Why So Serious, played in the Dark Knight film, starring Christian Bale, which was also a good movie. Number 8, Star versus the Forces of Evil. And yes, you probably remember this show is about a fighting princess who tries to use her wand right. I was kind of sad this year when it got canceled, because this is like one of the best shows Disney XD has created, along with Phineas and Ferb and Wander Over Yonder. And this show is about, fighting princess who goes to a different land goes to the real world, and she leaves her imagination land called Mutiny. Meets this Marco Diaz guy, who's actually her boyfriend. And, I love the Marco Super Awesome Nachos, where where Star Butterfly says triangle food. Star Butterfly was really funny. I can't believe they would cancel such a good Disney XD show, or Disney Channel show. I wanted this to be the longest running show ever, but I have a feeling that Disney hates long running shows. Number, I think 7 is The Fairly Odd Parents. And The Fairly Odd Parents is this show about this 10-year-old boy named Timmy Turner, who's right here in this picture. And he has real parents, and he also has imaginary mom and dad, Cosmo and Wanda. And yeah, that's his babysitter, which I really hate, Vicky. She's like, that twerp! She, she calls him a twerp. In the later episodes, I like how they added this girl named Chloe, who's actually Timmy's neighbor and best friend, who goes on these trips. My sister and I used to watch Fairly Odd Parents a lot when we were kids. And yeah, we used to watch SpongeBob too. I used to not like Fairly Odd Parents, but after watching a few episodes, I started to like this show. And yeah, and I also like Poof, who's the baby, and I forget the dog's name, but they had an imaginary dog. I'm trying to think of what my favorite episode was. I think my favorite episode was when Timmy turned himself into a car, or either that. I think I like the episode where Chloe wants to try to complete her Fruit Patch Kids collection. Yeah. I'm kind of sad that this show got canceled, because it's such a good show. I mean, today you had The Loud House, which is also a good show. And really, I really enjoy Loud House. Next up is Invader Zim. And Invader Zim is about this alien who wants to destroy Earth. I mean, this is actually one of my favorite anime Japanese cartoons. And it's also a good show. Well, Zim, who's the main character, faces conflict with the Earth. He has this robot guy named Gur, and I like Gur. I can even do a good impression of Gur. Yes, who made waffles? Hi, Floor, make me a sandwich. Why was there bacon in the soup? I made it myself. Yeah. Zim hated school. He's always, evil, but, he's very hilarious. But I actually like Gur, too. I even like Gur. Gur's actually a robot, but sometimes he dresses himself up as a dog, which is kind of cute. Gur likes to dance, drink chocolate bubblegum, eat pizza. Zim is always about taking over the Earth and, destroying it. That's basically what it is. It used to be on Nicktoons, but I was actually kind of sad when they removed it from this channel. And sadly, I don't have Nicktoons at my house. Next up is Wander Over Yonder. And this show is about this orange character named Wander and Sylvia. And they go on these awesome adventures together. And sometimes Wander plays around with this villain called Lord Hater. I like this show because one thing I like about this show is that it's created by this guy named Craig McCracken, who did the Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. And this is the only Disney show that Craig McCracken has ever created. Wander is also voiced by Jack McBrayer, who also does Fix-It Felix from Wreck-It Ralph and Ralph Breaks the Internet. Sylvia's okay. Sometimes she has a high temper and, gets angry easily. But, Wander is hilarious, and he plays the banjo really good. One of my favorite songs from there is Take a Step Back Inside. Or it's Take a Step Inside Your Mind, which is a really good song. And I love the theme song. The theme song is very catchy. and it has all these kazoos and stuff. It does sound a little bit like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. So, if you hate Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, I respect your opinion. Okay, next up is Bunsen is a Beast. And this show is about a monster. Well, he's actually called a beast. And this kid named Mikey, who like to hang out. Bunsen is kind of cute because he likes cupcakes and ice cream. And another thing that I like about this show is that it's created by Butch Hartman, which is the creator of Fairly Odd Parents, which I just mentioned. This has been a short-running show, and I was kind of sad when it got canceled. The one character that I really hate is Amanda Killman. And yeah, she's like bratty and, tries to... I think she's trying to... I don't know what she's trying to do. She just doesn't like Bunsen and Mikey. And Darcy's good, which is that girl right there. That's Mikey, and that's Bunsen. The one thing I like about the show is that it actually had two crossovers with the Fairly Odd Parents. But one of the crossovers with the Fairly Odd Parents was with Danny Phantom and Tough Puppy, which are also good shows. Yeah, I'm glad they were both good crossovers, and I'm glad that Butch Hartman created that. Yeah, I'm losing track of these shows. Okay, next up is Kick Buttowski, and Kick Buttowski is about this suburban daredevil. It's about this 12-year-old boy who loves to do extreme tricks. Him and his friend Gumper, well, Gumper tries to help him out with his tricks, And Gumper, he's hilarious. I really like him. Some of the characters that I don't like in there are his two siblings, Brad and Brianna. There was one episode where Brianna actually became a daredevil, which was kind of good. And trying to think of what other characters I don't like. Oh yeah, Mrs. Ciccarelli, who's like one of Kick's neighbors. She's ugly and she has a mean dog. I mean, it's not nice to call someone ugly, but you know what? It's just a character. I really liked the first episode. The first episode was called Dead Man's Drop, where Kick had to use some type of ironing board, which was really hilarious. And, the first episode was also hilarious because Kick and also Brad fell into a rose bush and they had thorns on their butt. Hilarious. This is like one of the best shows on Disney XD, along with Star vs. the Forces of Evil and Wander Over Yonder. But I was kind of sad when this show got canceled. One fun fact about this show is that I had a 7th grade teacher and he knew the creator of that show. How awesome is that? Yeah. Moving on, number 2, actually, is Phineas and Ferb. And Phineas and Ferb is about two stepbrothers who love to build. And I really love this show because this show involves me to use my imagination and be creative. There's episodes like building a roller coaster, chariot race, being small, gelatin, going to England, and I learned a lot from that show. Like different landmarks, like the Roman Colosseum, Big Ben, the Taj Mahal, all that stuff. And yeah, Phineas is cool, and Ferb doesn't speak much, but he's hilarious. He has a British accent. And Perry the Platypus is good, In every episode, Perry the Platypus always, sneaks out of Phineas and Ferb's home and fights this scientist named Dr. Doofenshmirtz, And Doofenshmirtz is kind of hilarious. If you hate Doofenshmirtz, I respect your opinion. This show even had its own movie called Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension. And that movie was the best. I loved it. Because in the movie, Phineas and Ferb finds out that Perry the Platypus is actually a secret agent, and he fights Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Well, they think Dr. Doofenshmirtz is a good guy, but there's a much more eviler Dr. Doofenshmirtz. I was really sad when this show got canceled in 2015. I thought it was going to be the longest running show. I mean, this is like one of the best shows on Disney XD and Disney Channel. Unfortunately, it's not on Disney Channel anymore. Or is it? But you know what? When I was 12 years old, I was a huge fan of that show. Literally a huge fan. And I bet there was a lot of 12-year-olds out here that loved that show when I was my age. But you know what? I'm kind of old for that show. And you know what? I still enjoy it. And a lot of grown-ups do too. So yeah. The one thing I don't like about this show is that this girl Candace, who's actually Phineas's sister, but Ferb's stepsister. You gotta understand that Phineas and Ferb are not really brothers. They're just stepbrothers. And Candace always likes to bust her brothers. Like, get them in trouble. And I mean, come on, it's not fair. Oh, they're like, Mom, Phineas and Ferb are building a time machine. Mom, this. Mom, that. Well, in every episode, Candace always tries to tell her mom that Phineas and Ferb is doing something. And when she comes home, she's like, I don't see it. I don't see it, Candace. Come on, let's go. Yeah, you get the idea. And my number one favorite canceled show is The Looney Tunes Show. And this is like one of my favorite shows on Cartoon Networks, besides We Bare Bears and all the other shows. And you know what? I was actually kind of sad today that the Amazing World of Gumball was canceled. I really enjoyed Looney Tunes when I was a kid, and when I heard a Looney Tunes show came on, I gave it a try, and I loved it. This show actually didn't just entertain me, but it's also taught me a lot of life lessons. Like, for example, there was an episode where Daffy called 911 just to open a can of tuna and do stuff. And hand him a towel and read a bedtime story. I mean, I don't find this to be funny, but Bugs actually kept telling Daffy that, hey, you can't be calling 911 on those for silly reasons. So whatever you do, don't call 911 on anything unless it's an emergency. And you have to remember to take all 911 calls seriously, because those type of people don't put up with that. And also another lesson learned is not to steal, be polite, and being fair. Classic upsells, which is something that you don't really need, like appetizers are classic upsells. They also play a lot of good songs. Some of the songs had life lessons like Drifting Apart, You Like, I Like, and being fair. So yeah, this show taught me so many life lessons, and I really enjoyed the Looney Tunes show. And I was really sad that it got canceled. But a couple years later, they made this show called Wabbit, which wasn't that entertaining to me. Yeah. Well, that wraps up my top 10 favorite shows that have been canceled. And I only did cartoons, but I'm planning on doing a video called Top 10 Live Action Shows. I mostly watch cartoons, and I don't watch much live action shows. So, if you have any requests for my top 10s, please let me know in the comments below. There's a couple top 10s that I'm doing soon, like I'm doing my top 10 favorite characters from the Loud House, which is a request from one YouTuber. I forget his name or her name. So yeah, this is Bacon Chris signing off.